Hey everyone, this is my This Is Me final project for interpersonal communications. I've really enjoyed this class and I am excited to get to share some of the things I've learned as well as my own personal assessments. So, first, I'm going to provide a reflection of 5 concepts that I've learned in the class. I think one of the main things that stood out to me that I learned was the idea of nonverbal communication and the differences across cultures. That's something that's really struck me from the beginning and has continued to expand throughout the different chapters in the book and really sparked my interest. I have visited different countries, I've studied abroad, and I've noticed a lot of these nonverbal cues varying across culture. In the United States, it's normal to shake hands, whereas when I visited France, with the students would kiss each other on the cheek, and that was something that seemed very odd to me, but it just was very normal for their culture. And then when they came here, and we usually hug to greet friends or shake hands with those older than us, it was something that was different for my exchange students when they visited me. So that was something that really stood out to me throughout the course of the semester. Also, this idea of again, intercultural communication, which is the process that occurs when members of 2 or more cultures or co-cultures exchange messages in a manner that is influenced by their different cultural perception and symbol systems. So again, when I visited Italy this summer, there was definitely this intercultural communication that was different. I noticed that a lot of the individuals there would stare at me and my friends, the Italian men and things like that. And I asked my teacher, is this normal for men to stare here? And she said it's completely normal, not even for men, honestly, anyone, to stare. And it's not seen as rude, which I had always kind of noticed that to be rude in the States. So it's just this idea of the differences across culture. I've learned the idea of high versus low context culture and individualism versus collectivism. And this idea goes into my professional career, that this is something that you have to keep note of when you are working. If you are working in an international company, you may be dealing with different cultures. And I'm in the public relations field, and my a personal assessment I realized through this course is that I might be working with communications with other individuals in different countries, and you have to tailor your messages to them so as to not offend or confuse your audience. I saw one example of a commercial, and it was for salsa, and it had a flamenco dancer, which is Spanish, and the salsa is a Mexican known to be a Mexican meal. So it was this difference in cultures. They didn't translate it over well. Also, the idea again of power distance and uncertainty avoidance, just this idea, the degree to which members of society accept an unequal distribution of power. We respect our teachers and our elders here in the States, but there's definitely in countries like China a stronger and greater power distance than there is in the States. We can be somewhat of friends with our teachers, and it's a little bit more informal of a relationship compared to other countries. So another one of my personal assessments is the idea of self-disclosure that I learned throughout this course, and just how it's important to really reflect on yourself in order to be a better communicator, a better listener. So this idea of honesty and depth within yourself, as well as availability of information and context of sharing. So all these ideas play into the idea of self-disclosure and just really, taking time to reflect. And I think that was something I really came out of this class understanding more, is being honest and deep with yourself and willing to share that information with others, not just yourself. Because when you share that information with others, it leads to better communication and a stronger bond and a stronger relationship with others, which is something that I think is interesting. And then another personal assessment and something I feel will be helpful in my career ahead of me is the idea of perception checking, and just asking things in the correct manner. The book gives the example of why are you mad at me, and it says who said I was. So you need to turn it more onto yourself and reword it in a way that makes them know you're not pointing the fingers at them, but rather just trying to check the situation before you perceive these things about others. Another thing that I found to be interesting, and a personal assessment that I made, is the idea of in groups and out groups. I see that a lot in the college scene that we live in now. You notice that you identify with certain groups. I'm in a sorority and I identify with my sorority and my friends, and you will see whether this is right or wrong, but people tend to go into a certain group, a certain sorority based on their their religion, sometimes nationality, sometimes even race. So it is this idea of in groups. You tend to hang out with the people who share similar values, and the idea of out groups, which you describe as people who seem a little bit different than you based on these idea of age, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, and things like that. And that's important to consider when you're going into the job force, that you are going to have people within your work that you relate to a little bit better than others, but you have to learn how to communicate with both of them. And I think the book in this course really helped with that. So I hope you enjoyed This Is Me, this video. I've learned a lot from this course, and I feel like I'm coming out a better communicator, a better listener. That was another thing I really enjoyed, the idea of listening, paraphrasing, questioning, and I feel like that can also be used in the workforce as well. So I really enjoyed this class, and I look forward to using the tools that I gained in this course as I move forward. Thank you.